Evening, everybody. Welcome to the big program. It's Wednesday night. It's 9:05-ish p.m. Thanks for sticking with us and through the weekly showing of the Beastmaster on the Superstation. But it's time for What's on Joe Mind. How is everybody?
That's your Lila appearance. Just go ahead and get that out of the way right there.
Right? Just
She's gonna sit over my shoulder this whole time.
There you go.
You don't have rats. You have wiener dogs.
That's true.
Photobomb.
It's true. I was telling Mike before we got started that Lila's losing her patience with me being at the computer today. So we'll see how she does.
Yeah, I mean, that is hollering distance, is what that is. She's just going to start
staring into your soul right now.
Yeah. More like laser beams on the back of your head. She don't care what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, that gas bag can talk all night. You need to give me treats. Yeah. Anyways, joining me here in the top row, he is fresh from a harrowing trip to the local comic shop. It's rack time, Rob.
Yeah, harrowing because of how much it cost me.
Indeed. Tariffs kicking in?
No, basically, shipping. All the companies decided to ship like everything this week.
Aren't most comic books are printed in Canada though, right?
Yes, that hasn't kicked in yet because technically those tariffs haven't kicked in yet.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're putting on tariffs. No, wait, no, we're not. Maybe we are.
Just kidding. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. Yeah, you'll probably see Toyota's stock drop tomorrow because they just did a 25%, on foreign cars tariff.
At least until they remove it the next day. So.
Right. You definitely get the feeling that if people are day trading right now that have inside info, they can do really well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I got a whole soapbox on this, but I'm not going to get on that because we don't have all night. No. We got news. We got Carson stuff. We got too much to talk about for me to get on that soapbox. But in the bottom row, he is home.
For now.
At his I meant on your podcast home, our former co-host.
Yes.
And founder of 3djoes.com and head of the wonderful project that we all refer to as Operation Recall. Carson Metaxas is in the house.
Thank you, guys.
Hello.
Good to be home. Yes, it was bittersweet watching that intro and seeing Joe Colton. Did we call her Mrs. Colton now or Mama Colton, or how's she doing?
She's okay. It's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I know she's been like me. She's been going crazy at work. So, it's been just kind of two ships passing in the night when I've reached out.
Understood.
But yeah, it's no news is good news is what I'm hoping.
Yep. Well, hope you're doing well, Joe. You and the kid and Mr. Whitlock.
She don't watch the show. What are you thinking?
Oh, come on. She's watching you guys. You're on in the background while she's, having dinner with her family and raising her baby.
She didn't watch when she was on.
Right. She was barely plugged in when she was here.
That's funny. That's funny.
So Carson, it's been a piece since you've been on the big program. We of course we've got time set aside for your projects at the end of the program after the news. But why don't you fill everybody in on where you've been the last couple of months?
The last couple of months, I've been not having to travel as much, which has been a nice little respite. 2024, I think I did 10 shows and just getting out there. And, with the book, I had already got the low-hanging fruit, right? Everybody that's kind of plugged in, that's looking at G.I. Joe online and that kind of thing, they'd already heard about the book, seen the book, pre-ordered it through the Kickstarter back in 2022, or I think I had a year and a half of pre-orders before that. And then when the book came in December 2023, we shipped 4,000 copies in 4 days. It was the week of Christmas. It was a short week. And Fulfill Right, the fulfillment company, is amazing. They got 4,000 books out in 4 days. And so then last spring was really busy as those books were landing and people were sharing them. And that was amazing. And so, but after that kind of, huge spike clears out, you got to get out there and you got to shake the trees and put it in front of people that aren't searching it out. And so I spent a good part of last year putting it in front of people that hadn't seen it yet, or that had seen it online but hadn't seen it in hand, and that's a totally different experience. So I really did the convention circuit last year like I've never done before. It was crazy. I think I went to like 10 or 11 shows, and I've got nothing but respect for people that do that for a living. It's not easy, to travel that much and set up and be on your feet and be outgoing and talk to people all weekend and then tear everything down and then get back on the road. Like it could be a grind. It's also like really, really heartwarming because people are coming up and saying really nice things about the work to you. And so, that's a really beautiful thing too. But yeah, it could be a lot. So over the last couple months, I've gone to one show. I went to New Jersey Collectors Con, and that's it, man. But I'm headed down to Toylanta this weekend.
Has anybody complimented your muscle definition from lifting so many books?
It's just the one arm from lifting Lila bugs everywhere.
All right.
I carry her in one arm, so I'm like that. That mom that has like the baby, she carries them on one arm. So like one arm's really diesel. Yeah.
The left arm is 20 pounds heavier than the right arm.
Right. No, I just actually took delivery of 11 pallets, which is 308 books. But as you guys know, each book set's 21 pounds. So that was about 6,500 pounds that we had to move into my climate control garage from, pallets that the truck dropped off out in my driveway. So yeah, we just got done doing that. I guess that's something I've done in the last week. But yeah, I've been busy, man. I'm busting hump on Operation Recall, and then I'm getting started on the next book. So those are the two things I'm grinding on, hobby related. I won't bore you with tales of video and animation for banking and corporate clients.
I mean, are you working G.I. Joe into them at all?
No, unfortunately not.
Well,
no.
But yeah, it's probably not a good hook for our particular slice of.
You can't really shoehorn G.I. Joe into banking compliance animations. It just doesn't work very well. I've tried.
I don't know. I'm sure there's an extensive enterprise gag in there somewhere.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm sure there's something with Tomex and Zaymot that can be done on banking regulation.
Yeah, true that.
But
at least an episode.
Did you bring any pictures, anything for the next book project?
I have props all around me.
Okay, well then we'll get to that later. We'll save that for after the break.
I've got a couple screen shares we could do, but I try to bring like physical things that I can show you. So
always good, always better. We love props. We're like the Carrot Top of G.I. Joe podcasts.
Get ready.
If you're watching us at home tonight on the YouTubes, remember to hit those cool buttons that are down there below Carson somewhere. He'd hit them himself, but he's just on your screen. He's not actually in your computer. But that's the like button and the subscribe button. About 30% of you every week who watch are not subscribed, and that's crazy. Because frankly, if you've popped in and you've hung around this long, the algorithm is going to continue to suggest us to you for the rest of time. So you might as well just click the subscribe button. We're here every Wednesday doing this show. It's Rob and myself and guests from across G.I. Joe fandom for the time being. And if you're on the Facebooks, remember to give us some kind of a reaction. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a heart. Give us a little huggy guy. We do love little huggy guy. And of course, also down below, we've got links to our coffee page. If you want to be a monthly subscriber, that gets you into the closing credits at the end of every episode. We got a new coffee subscriber this time around, as two-time All-Pro first-team quarterback Steve Young has joined the Light Brigade. I think he is our 22nd coffee maker. I don't know what that's called. They don't have a cool nickname. They don't have a cool nickname like Patreon has patrons, right? Coffee is just coffee guys. So we'll just call him our 22nd cool guy, and you'll get to see his name at the in the end credits like everybody else. Just anything $1 or a month or greater gets you in the closing credits on every episode. Matt Rubin calls it coffee drinkers. That I don't know. There's connotations there.
Yeah,
I like what Michael Gene Fleming's throwing out there. Baristas with dollar signs.
Yeah, Greg Augustin's got one too.
Coffee grinders. That's us. We're the coffee grinders. getting it done on our paltry budget. We're the grinders. Anyways, that's enough wasting everybody's time. What do you say we get to the news? Hang on, let me get the news bump. They've rearranged all my buttons. I'm not happy.
You are still making the news sound effect, right?
Of course.
Yeah. But
tell me you've changed all the traditions.
No. In fact, very shockingly few. But I still have the news bumper. Forgot the news bumper.
There you go.
And then we roll into first news item. Boop, 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 boop. So you get another week off there, Rob.
I know.
Only Phil makes you work. Only Phil.
Only Phil.
See that, Phil? I think next time Phil is on, he's going to have to earn his keep.
Step his game up.
Anyways, first news item. As a reminder, Roma Collectibles, the toy store, is closing its doors. They are running it Friday through Sunday, 12 to 5. The next couple of weekends. It is this weekend and it is next weekend. And that is it for Roma Collectibles, the toy store. And then we will all hold our collective breath as we wait and see what happens with Roma Collectibles, the entity, afterwards. But be sure to get out and visit Sarah and the gang and help them go out with a bang. But next news item. Hey, I neglected to mention this because I have been, well, we'll just say it's been a really strange and rough winter. But our good friends over at Total Toy Books, that's Brian Hickey and Patty Lennon for keeping score at home. They launched their Total Star Wars toys, the Palatoy Saga project, over on Kickstarter. It funded fairly clearly. You may pledge with confidence. They are accepting pledges for a few more days through until noon on March 30th Eastern time. So if you are into Star Wars toys, as many of you are, be sure to check this one out over on Kickstarter. Just type in Total Toy Books or search Brian Hickey. This will come right up for you. It's what they've got going on right now. Every book they have done has been positively exquisite to this point. This one is no different. So be sure to check that out. I think it's checking in somewhere between $50 and $60 American. There too, you'd have to check the Kickstarter for the exact figure, and of course that changes with exchange rate based on what day you look. But we're coming down to the nitty gritty on this one, so if you want in, be sure to get in now. Total Toy Books, Total Star Wars Toys, the Palatoy Saga, from our good friends Brian Hickey and Patty Lennon.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, like as an author that's done stuff through Kickstarter, it really does matter to kind of get those pre-orders in, and it helps the people that want to produce these items to have the confidence, the faith that what they're making, because you always have this feeling that you're a little crazy when you make stuff, and you have a vision to make something, and then you feel like, is anybody really going to want this? And there's no way to ascertain demand for something that doesn't exist, right? And so if you get on there, get on the Kickstarter, back it, at least that'll give them, what I did with my book. I think we had like 3,500 pre-orders through the Kickstarter. And then over the next year and a half, as we worked on it, because it was way bigger than what we originally envisioned, we took another, we were over 4,000 pre-orders by the time it was time to pull the trigger. So I honestly doubled my order, and I never would have gotten 8,400 books if I didn't get over 4,000 pre-orders. So right. The fact that you guys get in there and back us and put those pre-orders in gives us the confidence to invest our own money, because I put 90 grand of my own money in it to get that print run boosted. So thank you to everybody that backs these types of projects on Kickstarter. You give us the confidence to do what we do.
Yeah, and to build on what you're saying there, Carson, I know in the past Patty and Brian have not ordered as much past
You're right.
their Kickstarter as you have. So not to say that they don't have any copies or won't have anything available later on, but it's not going to be nearly so much. Like you went to 8,000 copies based on a $4,000 pledge run. They're well past their pledge goal. So you can pledge with confidence on this one.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
but
they'll make the book, right? This isn't one of those Kickstarters where you pledge and you wonder if you're going to get it. They're going to make it.
Yeah,
right?
This is book number 7, I think, and
they always deliver.
Yeah, and fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, you're right about the print runs. I finally got my hands on their first Action Force hardcover. I neglected to get it in time, and then their second one came, and I went ahead and I ordered the second one, but like begrudgingly because I couldn't get the first one, And then Tim Finn hooked me up. I just got it at Joe Fest this past year.
There you go.
That was really nice.
That Tim Finn, he's a sweet fella.
He's a nice guy, man. I get along well with him.
Who doesn't get along with Tim Finn?
Oh, they're probably jealous or something if they don't.
Right. If you don't get along with Tim Finn, you got problems. You're the problem if you don't get along with Tim Finn.
I question your judgment, sir.
You have issues. Anyways, so again, you've just got a few more days left. This is through March 30th. I believe that is Monday.
Yeah.
Let me double check that. Yeah.
And I can
always Sunday. No. The 30th is Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sunday in the morning, before you head to church, make sure you head over to Kickstarter. Pledge Total Star Wars toys. People going to church. I don't think I've been in a church in like 20 years. I think I would burst into flames if I walked into a church at this point. Anyway, that surprises people when I say stuff like that.
You need to get right with God, Mikey.
Look, it's
all right, not we'll leave God. That alone. Like we'll leave that alone. Like we leave the politics alone. All right.
Right. It's not God I got the problem with, Carson. Me and God are square. We're good.
No doubt. There's a big difference, isn't there?
Right. It's not God. God's not the issue.
I have a feeling we're on the same page there.
Yeah. Again, there's a soapbox here. Anyways, next news item.
I miss doing that.
You know what I forgot to do?
What's that?
Mike.
Forgot my Kickstarter guy, especially with all the Cold Slither stuff that's been going on. I missed Ripper for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that was rocking, man.
Well, he's coming back because
yeah.
Hey, look what's still going on. On Kickstarter now.
I kind of want you to let the song go a little louder, a little longer. That's like such a tease of a little.
Well, yeah, but Carson, that's the whole thing. We don't want to get demonetized.
Oh, that's right. I got you.
So if I let it go more than 5 seconds,
gotcha.
We're in the danger zone. So it can only be like a 3-second clip just to be on the safe side.
Understood. Gotcha.
But the good news is I can play it as many times as I want.
That's crazy. Nice.
I mean, we got to get our crew fix in somehow.
I'm gonna have to study the lyrics and then like be able to keep singing it after it gets done next time.
No, see that
might take you out.
That counts. That knocks us out.
Come on, YouTube.
Right? Look, man. I support them supporting artists.
Did you see my email about this one? About this Kickstarter?
I did.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. You got any questions about it?
About this one?
Well, no. So like the deal with this is I'm helping him with it. I'm helping Wayne with this book.
We have sold it to the people as such, but since you're here on the show, why don't you tell everybody?
It's a really cool opportunity for two people that love to make, books and love to do toy photography and archiving and that kind of thing. We were basically working on 2 projects that we felt like were complementary, but not necessarily competitive. And so we just decided to team up and share assets. And I think I don't know, man. I think that's pretty amazing because a lot of this hobby can get cutthroat when you want to do something similar to what somebody else is doing, right? And people can behave really poorly, and things can get really ugly. And that's just like it's the opposite of that with this, and I think that's so refreshing. But basically, Wayne
sometimes well-known or well-recognized GI Joe creators just steal stuff straight out of hand.
Yeah, some ugly stuff happens, right? Ugly stuff happens sometimes. But this guy Wayne, he's been doing the Toy Collector's Wish books. He's done 2 volumes, but they were a mix of various characters and various brands. And I call it his warm up for GI Joe because we all know GI Joe is just such a massive line. It's such a massive undertaking that those 2 volumes were like his warm up to G.I. Joe. The G.I. Joe book is going to be its own standalone guide, as you guys probably already know by now.
Right.
And he's going to document everything from 82 to 94, all the figures, all the vehicles. He started out doing this really beautiful diorama of settings of each year, or he was doing like sublines, like here's all the Python Patrol, here's all the Tiger Force when I first met him at conventions a few years ago. And he's just a really nice guy, a really hard worker, and he does good work. So he approached me at one of the conventions last year, and we started talking, and he was telling me about how he was going to do this wish book. And I was like, I've already got your first wish book. I need to get your second, but it hadn't landed yet. And then I got it. And, I think it's just like one of those collegial relationships where I respect what he's doing and he respects what I've been doing. And so we both were just like, okay, so how can we like divide and conquer this? So I'm providing him with some assets. I'm shooting a ton of new stuff. He's going to do the editing of that stuff. And then he's shooting and editing some new stuff. And we're just going to cross pollinate. So yeah, it's exciting, man. I think the whole community wins from that, because all the stuff he's given me, we've agreed gets to go on 3D Joe's, and all the stuff I'm giving him goes in his books. The stuff that he's given me is going to go in my little book, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
And you did need another project. It looked like you were going to have 2 or 3 free hours in a week.
I'm just like my dad. My dad's the exact same way. Hey, I'll show you guys. I'm going to open up a tab and make sure that I remember to show this. But I've been helping my dad lately. He, for the last 3 years, has been writing my grandfather's book, and he just got a publisher. And so I just helped him make a 20-minute documentary talking about my grandfather. Like, we just go, man. We just grind. We just make stuff, and that's like, we're not well if we're not making something. You know what I mean? When we stop making things, that's when you got to start worrying about us.
Right. Vacations are for the weak.
Yes, the idle-minded,
They're soft.
Get back to work, make something of yourself. When I was growing up, my dad always said work will set you free. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I found out that's what they had on the gate at Auschwitz. Literally.
Oh, that's
yes,
right.
Work will set you free. I'm like, Dad, I don't know if you should have brought me up on that.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a different way to spin that.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds familiar, but I was thinking, some communist propaganda.
Yeah. No, I was a full-blown adult when I heard that, and I was like, wait, that's where he got that? That's horrible. That's horrible. I'm sure it's not where he thought he got it. It's like
no. There's Lord knows I'm sure it was a saying before that.
Yeah.
That they just decided to co-opt into something gross the way that those people tend to do.
Yep.
But anyways, Greg Augustin is on to you, Carson. He thinks your beeps are Morse code for Yojo.
Nice.
But Joe ARAH chiming in with G.I. Joe books used to be slim pickings. Happy to buy and beg for more background physical media. Appreciate that, man. And welcome to the program.
We are a very lucky community that so many people put so much passion into it, for sure.
I'm looking through some of the live chat comments, so bear with me.
Yeah, no problem.
Steve Young, 2-time All-Pro first team quarterback, notes, isn't there a musical intro for Kickstarter? Look, dude, we've already played it 4 times. What do you want?
But when did he drop that comment? Did he drop it before that first time you neglected to put it in? Maybe he caught
you. My role is coffee backer or no, show up on time and you get musical intros.
Oh, see,
that's all I'm
you're
saying.
Alienating the coffee backer.
I know.
You're ticking off the sponsors.
Oh, well. I mean, since you put it that way, Rob. There you go. That's rack time Rob right there, folks. That's putting me in my place. That's what older brothers are supposed to do. Jim on Sports, play it a 5th time.
And that's what younger brothers are supposed to do.
Right. Encourage
the mayhem.
Right. That man's giving us money. Got to do what he says. Carson's going to never listen to Motley Crue again.
I doubt that.
Really, I would think that would endear him to it more.
Right?
You're going to be thinking of Ripper every time a song plays.
That thing is an earworm.
Yeah.
It's just moving on in.
But so anyways, this is happening on Kickstarter through April 16 at 9 p.m. What day of the week is April 16, Rob?
Let me check the old calendar here.
Oh man.
Oh, that is 1, 2, 3 weeks from today.
Yeah.
All right.
It's past spring break. God help
Right.
me, I can't think of anything past spring break.
It's already funded, so
Oh
you know,
yeah.
like the other one.
It's
It's already
Wednesday.
funded. It's already funded, and he, like I said, he's already put out two of these types of books, so you can back with confidence. And
I think 3. I think this is the
get it.
4th.
This is the third Toy Collector's Wish book, right? They did Volume 1, Volume 2, and then now this. But he's been developing Volume 3, but he hasn't put it out yet.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is sitting at 72,500. I'm sorry, 72,677. Just
Damn.
on a goal of 40,000 with 898 backers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta actually. I'm gonna slide over to my text messages real quick. Hold up. Where's Wayne's name? I swear it was just yesterday that I was texting with him.
Yeah, when we touched on this last week, they were already pretty close to making it. They were better than 80% of the way there last week.
They have blown nicely past this.
Okay, so when I sent that email to him, it was last night at 11 p.m. I sent that email out at 11 p.m. So we are 22 hours later. When I sent that email, it was at 55,647, and so he's at 70 now.
Rob,
yeah, 70. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at some of the other things in the project there, so I'd scroll down a bit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's at like 72 something, right? I think it's.
He did 15 grand in less than 24 hours.
72,677. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good day when you're more than a week past your launch.
Oh yeah, because
Kickstarters tend to bottom out in the middle there. So
they go up and then they plateau and then they go up. You know, and sometimes that plateau has a very minor rise.
Jim Smith notes that all stretch goals are unlocked. So again, pledge with confidence.
That's awesome.
For Toy Collector's Wish book, special edition GI Joe. GI Joe books they're a good buy, right, Carson?
I'm gonna enjoy it. You know, I've had a couple people ask me about this. You know, like, okay, so are you getting it? I'm like, well, obviously I'm getting it. I've got his other books. I like his work and all that stuff. But I think this is going to be a boon to collectors because, you know, the only thing that's comparable to this, like something that covers all figures and all vehicles like this, would be Belomo's books. And they're just so hard to get. They're so expensive.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you enjoy,
this looks to be a little bit more picture heavy than Mark.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this isn't going to have Larry Hama dossiers, for example, right? This isn't going to have Dave Dorman pre-production art. It's a different feel, but you know, if you go to the Kickstarter, you'll look at the spreads and you'll get an idea. You know, he does write some articles in here, but it's not going to be, you know, Belomo puts a lot more of his research with the creators into it, and I don't think that's going to be heavy in this.
Yeah, it hits me as being just a different take on familiar material.
It's something I'd like to put in front of my daughter, right? I think because it's like so bright and colorful and fun, and like the way he does little call outs and like little wide shots with close-ups and little pop-out windows and stuff like that. Like I think it's got a nice playful vibe to it. And I really enjoyed the other two books. It's especially like G.I. Joe's not going to be as fun for me because I already know it so well, right? But the other books were a ton of fun. Learning about other lines in this format was really cool.
I got to see the first one. I don't have it, but I got to flip through it some.
Yeah.
And I was impressed.
I partially blame him for my DC Superpowers collection now because I had not jumped back into that since I was a kid, and then I don't know if it was seeing his book or seeing the Hall of Justice at Retro Toy Con, but it's probably the two of those things together, and like before you know it, now I've got a collection again.
The bright, shiny, candy-like Hall of Justice.
Yeah.
The gunny's in. Dennis Fleming is committed.
They were committed to that blue and that yellow, man. That color palette.
Yeah. They kind of had a surplus of that laying around the old factory, didn't they?
Yeah.
But anyways, next news item. Hey, not so great news.
Aw.
You're a G.I. Joe board game fan. Renegade Game Studios announced that G.I. Joe Mission Critical has been canceled. So effective immediately, there's 40% sale on all Mission Critical games and expansions. If you go to the Renegade website and order them, check out with code Eternal Joe. That will take 40% off of your or any of these items in your cart. It is a one-time use per customer. So if you're going to buy a bunch. But it does work. I went and tried it myself. Not that I bought anything, but I went and filled up.
You loaded your cart. So now you're getting the abandoned cart emails.
Yeah, I mean, I did, in fairness, I did take it out so I wouldn't get those things. I don't want to make their AI work that hard.
Smart.
I'm a sucker.
Does this...
Mostly, Carson, I don't have any money, so I need to not leave things in places where it can get spent on me.
Yep, I understand. The mission critical, does that just describe a segment of their gaming, or is that the overarching theme of all their Joe gaming?
No. This is the board game type game that the card game is still going.
Okay.
Not the card game. The role playing game is still going.
Gotcha.
They've still doing Risk, still doing all kinds of other stuff with G.I. Joe. It's just
okay.
this
was
particular
this their first
wing.
foray into this format with minifigures and that kind of thing?
I don't think it was their first period. I think they had done other properties before.
First with Joe.
But yeah, it was the Joe one, and they released several expansions and what have you. So there are a lot of characters you can play as and play against, and so yeah, they're still doing role playing, still doing the deck building game, but just getting out of the more board game, for lack of a better term. It's kind of a hybrid between a board game and an RPG. But again,
was the deck building game?
No.
Okay.
No, the deck building game has decks. This has little minifigures and a board that you move things around. But again, head over to Renegade Game Studios. Check out with all of your G.I. Joe Mission Critical expansion packs and game and all that other good stuff with code Eternal Joe. Save 40% while supplies last. Once they're out, they're out. Because unfortunately, this has been canceled. But next news item.
Carson was muted.
Yeah, pulling a Joe Colton on us, and just
we can still buy Mike some time. Come on, Mike, you hit the slide already.
But where one goes away, or wait, I guess we're not quite there yet. More Renegade Game Studios news. A new tendril into the world of G.I. Joe gaming, as G.I. Joe comes to HeroScape. They're the popular miniature game that's been around for 2 decades now.
Cool.
I mean, I was still working at a comic book store when I was selling a ton of heroes. Well, anyways,
so you think this is good for the brand? It might introduce some new people to it and that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean, there aren't that many places left for HeroScape to go. Right? Like, if anything, a G.I. Joe entry is long overdue. So, not too many details on this yet. They've put a date on it for 2026, so we're probably not going to hear anything for a little while. But they did release details on this a little bit ago. I believe it was at their last Renegade Con in the spring. So be sure to check out the website, renegadegamestudios.com, for any forthcoming details. Next news item. And they did announce that G.I. Joe Risk is open for pre-order, or Risk G.I. Joe Special Missions. So we know Racktime Rob's going to buy this, and then no one will play with him.
No.
But pre-orders are open now. It is coming in at $70. There again, I didn't put a ton of details in on this one. Head over to renegadegamestudios.com. Check them all out for yourself. It takes you all the way through. Again, we got Carson on. He talks a lot, so I can talk about Risk, which is a game everybody knows how to play, or we can let Carson go about all the 16 different projects he's got going. I gave the time to Carson. So again, renegadegamestudios.com. Get yourself a copy of Risk G.I. Joe Special Missions, expected to be sent out in August. But pre-orders are open now. $70. Pardon me. Next news item. And so one miniature game went by the wayside, but it's something real similar is coming back. OC Games has put up G.I. Joe Operation Cobra on GameFound, which is a specific board game funding site. It funded in 32 minutes.
Wow.
They are accepting pledges until April 7. It looks very similar to Mission Critical. So if you were a fan of the Mission Critical games, be sure to check this out. There again, there's all kinds of expansions, all kinds of characters that you can play for and against. I never got the chance to get into Mission Critical, so I can't talk to it. Simply don't have the space nor enough people around here that are interested in playing G.I. Joe board games. But if you're heavily into gaming, be sure to check this one out. Again, funded in 32 minutes. They are soaring past any goals they may have had. They're unlocking stretch goals. You're starting to get just random figures thrown into play with. There's a bazooka. There's a flint. There's all kinds of stretch goals that have been unlocked by the number of folks that have already thrown their support behind this one. We do have a link to that down in the description. So if you're interested in this miniature game, G.I. Joe Operation Cobra, be sure to check it out there. And yeah, again, through April 7.
Carson, that's another tabletop game with little miniature figures.
It is. It looks to be similar to Mission Critical.
Yep.
I imagine the game mechanics are going to be pretty different. It's a totally different company doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But
hopefully they scale with the other figures. I would imagine people that were buying Mission Critical would be excited to have more minifigs.
Right. It's a lot of similar characters.
Yeah, of course.
So there's the popular ones, of course. You get into Duke, Scarlet Snake Eyes, Roadblock. You get into Gung Ho and Beachhead and Rock and Roll and Outback and all that. So the names didn't necessarily change, but you've got a new game that is more open ended and promises more expansions to come. They already have with this funding. I think they've got 3 or 4 of them ready to go as it is. So you can get everything all at once right at the beginning if that's what you want to do. But it's right there. Again, link is down below in the description. Next news item. Joe ARAH says, stretch goal ice cream soldier, baby. It's going to have to go.
It's a stretch, all right.
Right. It's gone pretty hard. I don't want to downplay. They're well past whatever goals they may have had. Again, it funded in half an hour. But yeah, we got a ways to go. Hey, we got some Skybound news out today.
Pretty great cover.
Sitting just inches away. I have read the first 2 pages.
Nice.
The first 2 pages pretty well depict what's happening on the cover, so I'm not spoiling a whole lot there. But G.I. Joe 315 or G.I. Joe Real American Hero 315. Larry Hama at the controls. Chris Mooneyham back with the pencils. Rated C for chains. That is available today. It is out now. A lot of folks like Rob and myself, we haven't had the chance to read this yet, so don't talk spoilers or anything in the live chat. Let's keep this clean for a little bit for everybody. I know where Wednesday night opens us up to stuff like that, but be cool. Be cool.
There's cobras in it.
Right. I hear there's gunplay.
I don't know that there
It's like back when the Star Wars trilogy most recently was coming out. I tended to always have a bunch of spoilers in quotes on Facebook for my status. Spoilers, Star Wars spoilers ahead, and then you go down a few lines. They got them laser swords. So
laser swords and stormtroopers,
right? Them stormtroopers can't hit a thing, stuff like that. So So I had my fun with spoilers, but please, no legitimate spoilers, just for the folks that haven't had a chance yet. Carson, you been reading the books? Carson, you're on mute.
Honestly, no. I haven't been making time for recreation, as they call it. Like, I legit, man, I find it so hard. I still buy a lot of books. I find it so hard to sit down and read them when I've got this never-ending to-do list of, for example, just Recall is managing like 15 people. There's like 15 people performing different tasks. I have this massive Gantt chart of all 19 figures and like at what step along the operation they are. And it's between that and then my corporate, video and animation work, and then the other projects that I want to get into.
Right. God forbid bills to pay, right?
If
Oh, he's frozen up.
Uh-oh. Idle hands be the devil's plaything.
Oh, let me see if kicking him out and bringing him back gets him caught up. We'll see. Okay, he's going again.
Can you guys still hear me though?
There we go. Now you're back.
Yeah.
Okay. When the video buffers, do you hear me the whole time or?
No.
Okay.
No, not that. Right. Not that time anyway. That time you just froze completely.
So I've definitely just found there's limited time in the day, and so I can either spend it creating or consuming, right? And so I spend very little time consuming these days. I think the only time that I watch TV is when I'm eating. You know what I mean? I'll sit down and I'll eat and I'll watch an episode, and then maybe, just maybe, I'll splurge and watch a second episode. But then it's like, all right, back to work. you know?
The Sunbow stream on YouTube is pretty well my background.
Nice. Just keep it on loop.
Yeah, like I work from home, and so it's just on.
Yep.
And so it's just because I got to have something making noise in the house. So, but Diana Davis understands our spoiler rule here.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
I love that cover. Looks great. And I'm glad to hear that they're doing covers that are representative of what's in the book. That was something that comics got away from, and I always found that really annoying.
Right. And truthfully, I think Joe has solved that one simply by making 6 to 8 variant covers for every book.
Yeah. At least one of the covers going to be on topic.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the main cover tends to have something to do with what's going on, but all the variant covers, God forbid.
Yeah.
I think there's a variant cover for this one where Cobra Commander is not in chains, but riding a My Little Pony.
Nice. As he should.
This happens at the end of this book, by the way.
Maybe this will be the gateway drug where I get my daughter finally into G.I. Joe through the My Little Pony connection.
Exactly.
My Little Pony, subversives are magic.
Jeff Butler asks, but Carson, do you have 2 different guys named Sneak Peek to keep track of? No, I don't think that's a problem anybody has anymore.
Yeah.
There's the slacker, Phil Donnelly.
What's up, Phil?
Phil is the only guest host that makes Rob do the doots. All the guest hosts line up to do the news doots.
I know.
It's not Phil.
The doots.
Phil's all self-conscious. All he did was stop in and say hello, and I'm abusing him.
Yeah, see, next time you call, Phil's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I got me some Space Mountain.
I mean, that's always a potential answer when I ask Phil to come on, but every 3 or 4 weeks, like clockwork, he's back.
And besides, you have to be nice to Phil. He's probably going to have to be my plan B for some of those Mego sets that are coming from Disney.
Michael Gene Fleming says that Buzz Dixon tried to get Shipwreck in the 80s My Little Pony movie. We know, we broke that news.
Yeah.
Go back in the library, man. That was the first place he told anybody.
Boy, that would have blown Mom's mind when she took Katie to see that.
Yeah. drinking Shipwreck in the middle of it. Dumping out his beer and throwing the bottle over his shoulder. She'd have probably appreciated it.
Yeah, I mean that was a pretty timeless Looney Tunes gag. It was just empty out the mug and
yeah, just because she didn't want us drinking doesn't mean that she had a problem with us watching cartoons drinking. It was a different time.
Yeah.
Also from Skybound, but next week, Real American Hero Silent Missions Edition 21 is out there. This is a reprint of Marvel's number 21, the classic Silent Interlude, because we all needed another copy of Silent Interlude. There again, we've got several variant covers or exclusive covers that you can choose from on this one. This is next week. This is available 1 week from today on April 2. And then, of course, the true moneymaker. Also next week on April 2. It's Double Joe Week. Who's going to do that sound effect?
And this is in the Hamaverse, right? These stories, all these singles are technically in that universe. That's great.
Yes, they are in the part of the Real American Hero book. This one is Beachhead fighting to extricate a group of orphans from a territory controlled by Cobra, if I believe correctly. I have stayed away from the previews and stuff on this one because I just want to be able to read it. But written and penciled by the great Phil Hester, he of the immortal run on Green Arrow, with inks by Travis Heimel, colors by the venerable Lee Loffridge. Again, next week on April 2. I can't wait. I'm going to confuse the local comic shop, Rob. I'm going to have 2 books next week. They're not going to know what the hell's up.
Yeah, Phil Hester recently did some Green Arrow, so
yeah. He can't quit Green Arrow.
No.
I wish I could quit you.
Green Arrow's the best. My favorite DC character. Well, second favorite. Nightwing's still number 1. Dick Grayson's the guy. Anyways. And then we've got some Skybound bits. Looking forward. April 9th, of course, Silent Month continues as we get Real American Hero with Silent Missions Jinx. And then Transformers 19 in the Energon universe also on April 9.
And the writer for Transformers, is he still going 24 issues, or has there been any changes on that front?
I believe it's still the 24. Daniel Warren Johnson's pretty busy. So.
Right. I mean, if they've published 19, I'm sure that 24 has at least been written by this point.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sure his run is in the can. But anyways, so that's it for our friends from Skybound with the G.I. Joe and surrounding Energon universe for the next few weeks. Buy many, buy several, and then read them, Carson.
Don't just buy them.
Don't just buy them and let them sit in a corner. Read them, Carson.
Okay. I'm going to go to bed and curl up in the bed with a trade paperback. I find it so hard to relax. I'm sorry. It's because I got pressure on me, man. Like, I've got, you got to fulfill on all these amazing dreams. Anyway, sorry. That's enough. That's enough of that.
Stygian 360 reminds you that Operation Recall are belong to us.
That's right. It's for the people, man. Who's gonna make this stuff if I don't make this stuff, Rob?
I don't know. Not me.
No, certainly not me. I got too much going on as it is.
I've been doing some mind warping Adobe Illustrator work for that packaging. It's been great, man. I'm like, growing in new directions. It's fun. Very time consuming though.
I need a video editor, Carson. You know somebody willing to do it for like a $2 coffee contribution every month?
I'm so tired of doing video.
Oh,
I mean, so after I got done with the book, I spent 6 months editing the Legends, right? Like, we filmed 50 hours and I got it down to 10 hours for those 4 discs. And that was legit like 6 months worth of work. And I want to say like maybe 4 of it was the editing and then 2 was the Blu-ray authoring. But when I got done with that, I was like, okay, my next like hobby passion project is not going to be video for a little while. Like, I'm just going to do something else because I do video and animation for a living. And then once you make your hobby line up too close to your living, and then it starts to feel like your work,
right.
That's just not the feeling that you want. So
right.
I'm back on that. I'm back on the toy and the book train.
Right. So. No, I hear you there. I barely edit video and I am kind of over editing video.
You know, it totally depends on what you're working on. Oh, I take that back. I just did a documentary for my father, and I freaking loved it because it's military history, it's American history, it's international theater politics, you know, all that good stuff. World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan in the 80s, like all these really cool topics. So I had a blast with that. It really just depends what you're doing, man.
Next news item. Beep, 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 beep. Remember, as leaks are possible at any time, be sure to check in with our good friends over at the Surveillance Port. That's at surveillance-port.com. See if there's anything new making the rounds as far as leaks or new products or stuff like that. Our good friend Eric puts a lot of work into this. Posts something new every day. So even if it's not a leaked photo, you're sure to get the best and brightest of G.I. Joe news anytime you go. That's surveillance-port.com.
When you started talking about leaks, I thought we were going to get a plumber ad. It's like we got a sponsor.
Phil notes that editing video is definitely the worst part of making articulated points videos.
You know, I won't debate that at all.
The worst part of that is for us is watching them.
Phil, ouch. Phil, who was doing the animation stuff? I thought that was Patrick. Are you guys splitting the load or what? I know it's going to take him a while to respond to that, so we'll just plant that seed and see what comes back.
Right.
But yeah, when they were doing the Eco Warrior stuff for Assembly Required, they stepped the game up. Like they were, you know, scanning stuff and cutting it into layers and showing how it would come together and showing how things would function. I was like, damn, somebody's doing some work over there.
I tease Phil, but I cannot give any more of an endorsement to the work that he and Patrick do at Articulated Points.
Oh yeah, it's just good quality content. I love it.
My favorite deep dive toy video channel, and I'm not just saying that because I know those guys. They leave no stone unturned. You're really getting that's as close to the full story of whatever topic they're going to give you right there. So be sure to check them out. If you haven't subscribed to them by now, what the hell are you doing here, man? Just go hit a button. It's free. It's really quick. We even got a link to it down below. Go subscribe to Articulated Points once you're done subscribing to us.
Yeah, these guys are the source. They're like the high quality, the potent, you know, storytelling that digs up all the little kernels that'll make it into so many other people's videos. Patrick makes that animation work, and we split editing. Cool, man. That's great. That's
Phil
great.
giving you the dirt.
You guys have been doing good. Doing good work.
Dave McDonald asks, the Doots are just a Muppet Newsflash bit, right? That's that way back in the day when Gary Godso was in the lead chair that I inhabit now. I was the smartass in the Rob chair, and I used to do little Doot news sounds. But I decided that after Gary left and I had to do all the other work, that I was going to make somebody else do that little piece of the work. So at various points, it's been Joe Colton or Carson or Mark. Mark was perhaps the most enthusiastic Dooter ever, or Racktime Rob. So there's going to be one damn thing that I don't do for this channel, and it will be News Doots.
Not doing the Doots, man.
All the news stations used to break in with some little toot 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 toot,
right,
like
right.
Like it was the sound of like news tickers going.
You're right. That would tail off as the anchor
started. It was the breaking news, you know.
Reading in somber tones.
It was to get you excited
or anxious.
Yeah.
The president has had a bad sandwich. Just letting you know, the president has had a bad sandwich.
I think all the president does is eat bad sandwiches anymore.
Yeah. I wish that was all he did.
Right. Anyhow, Steve Young says, I doot for gummy bears. Well, we all have something that we doot for. I'm not telling you what I doot for. It's just not the news. Next news item. Happening now. Starting tonight. It's another sale at the What's on Joe Mind swag shop on TeePublic. Hey, summertime's coming. You never know when we're going to see us, or God forbid, when other people might see you. So make sure that when you're doing so, that you're representing What's on Joe Mind with all of the greatest in tees, sweatshirts, mugs, magnets, stickers, ball caps, and more. Right now through March 30th, which we have already determined is Sunday. Save up to 35% on t-shirts, and then deep discounts on everything else. Link to that is, of course, down below in the description. It's easy, it's quick. This is the time. They do this sale like twice a month, so never pay full price. That full price at TeePublic is a sucker game, but the sales are going now. Sales
full
are going
prices
now.
for suckers,
right? I don't pay full price. Suckers pay full price. But right now, you're not paying full price. So go down to the link below. Get yourself a sweet-ass What's on Joe Mind t-shirt. At some point, I'm going to design another one, I swear.
Duke Phillips pays for nothing.
But frankly, you guys got to show me that these are popular and they're just not going to sell anymore. So get on it. That Plug the Damn Show one gets high grades from no less than Mark Gerwig. So right there, that's quality design in the What's on Joe Mind shield. Michael Gene Fleming doing his weekly bailout. There's lots of stuff coming out to buy, so I got to head to bed so I can get into work tomorrow morning. Yeah. Thank you, Michael Gene Fleming. We appreciate you as always.
So that you can afford to buy everything that's coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
Stygian 360 asks, so the shirts come in 6X. I don't believe so, but they do come in 5X.
There you go.
So they go all the way up to 5X down to like kids small. So you can get a shirt for the Bulldog if you want. Hint, Diana Davis, hint. Jeff Butler notes that the Doot Viper is coming. $5.75 an hour. Start west corner, top floor first.
This fella says he's the Doot Viper.
Matt Rubin says I'm wearing Plug the Damn Show t-shirt at the moment. Does that count? Yes, it does, Matt Rubin.
It always counts.
You need to wear it out so that you got to go back and buy another one. Maybe buy one in a different color. You know, Arbor Day's coming up, so maybe you want a What's on Joe Mind shirt in green. We sell them in every color, not just blue and black that you see in the picture there. You want a red one? They'll make you a red one. You want a tie-dye one? They'll make you a tie-dye one. But head over to TeePublic, get yourself a What's on Joe Mind t-shirt. Carson, how many do you have?
47.
I know I gave you one.
I don't even have an Operation Recall shirt. Okay, Mikey.
Would you like me to put an Operation Recall?
No, you don't do that.
Logo.
Don't do that.
Look, man, I've got the logo.
As soon as it's profitable, I'm gonna have Operation Recall close up. And I did invest in the hats.
All right.
So,
because I'll sell you the $2 that we make on every shirt if that's what
mine's the same way. I set up a little Operation Recall merch store, and it's like every now and then you'll get like $7, and I'm like, that's really cool, but you're doing it so that people can buy your brand and wear it and like feel connected to the show or to Operation Recall or whatever.
Right.
Nobody puts their shirts on TeePublic because they're really going to make money. Like
right.
TeePublic is taking that, you know.
Right. If we're paying our $6 coffee budget every month.
Yeah.
By selling t-shirts, then I feel like we've done our job.
I set up a merch tab on Operation Recall, and I set it up with Zazzle, and I think they pay me out like whenever I sell $20 worth of stuff, and I've only been paid out like once or twice. You know what I mean? It's like I want it to be available for those just like diehards that want to rock the brand, and I love you guys. That's awesome. But it's certainly not anything that's going to fund anything.
Stygian 360 says he needs Operation Recall underoos.
I think we could do that. I think you start with Clanker and Tank on the underoos.
Do you have them in 6XL?
Whatever Zazzle has, or
right?
Whoever. Is that who we're using? Zazzle, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is Zazzle.
I think I'm the one person with the G.I. Joe podcast that has never met Zazzle. I think for as deep as the What's on Joe Mind Rolodex runs, and it runs deep.
Yeah.
He's just a guy that we've missed.
Oh, I'm not talking about Zazzle. I'm talking about Zazzle.
Oh, okay. So that's how far out of the
Zazzle's like a TeePublic, but they make, you could do like coffee mugs and mouse pads and wall art, and you upload your art, but then you can make all kinds of different products from it.
And there's Zazzy.
TeePublic does that too.
Okay, well there you go.
You can get all that stuff at TeePublic, as you can see on the graphic, Carson.
Probably the same software, and they just white label it, and one's TeePublic and one's Zazzle.
Yeah.
Yes.
The same company.
Yep.
Next news item.
Do, 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 do.
Hey, yeah, it looks like it.
Chunky.
Remember, Chonky Tank Hitting is Meowler Tank, brought to you by the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast. Their link is down below on our page, so be sure to check them out. They tend to do shows on Sunday. I'll be honest, I've been out of the loop since last weekend started, so I believe there's no show this Sunday. I don't think I've seen an ad for this show this Sunday, but check with them. Look them up on Facebook or check out their channel down below, G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast. See what Mark and Mike and Artwan are up to in their wacky exploits in 3D printing.
Yeah, we don't know nothing.
I want to say shout out to Mark Jerwig, man. He's the one that made it happen for Operation Recall and all those accessories, and definitely tune into his podcast. They've been very informative.
Yeah. I mean, really, anytime you have a show where guys are just shooting the breeze about G.I. Joe and getting off track a lot, it's clear to see that they follow the What's on Joe Mind model. Right. But they actually get stuff done on top of that, which is something we have yet to accomplish in almost 14 years.
Well, that's not really following our model then, is it?
Well, they've kind of built on our model, I guess.
And improved upon it.
I don't know about improved, because making stuff happen is that's like a high bar to clear. That's what Carson's intimidating. Did 4 seconds of video right there.
All right.
That was dangerous territory. Really pushed it that time.
Right in the end.
Speaking of brief video clips, stay with us. We'll be back with to talk more about Carson's individual projects after a quick word from our wonderful friends and sponsors at Kokomo Toys.
Kokomo Toys.
We buy, sell, and trade vintage and modern toys. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel, DC, and more. Located in beautiful downtown Kokomo, Indiana, we are open every Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. It's a theme park of nostalgia. Join the thousands of people who have traveled from all over the Midwest for over a decade to buy and sell with us. Get your geek on.
Now back to What's on Your Mind.
Torpedo Mike's little girl, she's probably like graduating college now. It's probably where we're at with that one. What are you doing over there, Rob?
I'm just basically, I have stuff falling all over the place. So I'm trying to reset it so it stops falling.
He's reading books. He's consuming.
Probably. I mean, you have to multitask at this point.
Yeah.
Well, he had a big day at the comic shop, so it's gonna
seriously. I have to start reading now, so I get them done by next week.
It's an intimidating workload in front of him.
It really is.
So, Carson, that brings us up to your part of the show, and of course, I think what folks are most interested in right out of the gate, right there.
Operation Recall. I didn't discover the comments until late in the podcast, so I wanted to say thank you to Doug. I see Doug Delos out there, Dennis Fleming, Joe, Real American Hero. I didn't scroll through all of them, but thank you guys for saying nice things about Recall. Yeah, it's one of those things you work on so intensely, and you put so much of yourself into, and so it really does help when people say nice things. Like I got to tell you, man, like words of affirmation is my love language. And so people, being nice and saying nice things about the books or the toys or whatever, just gives me a sense of calm. You know what I mean? So, have you been keeping up with the Kickstarter updates?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'm going to try to really quickly move through the last one then.
Let me get you in the big window here.
Okay. All right. So the last one we did shared the Wave 1 and Wave 2 prototype packaging. And so this is the let's see, get my finger on the right spot because it's backwards. This is the Paint Master, right? And so this is a hand sculpted figure that's then been hand casted and then hand painted. And these are the original accessories created by Mark Jerwig. And this is a hand sculpted dog over here. And so this is Wave 1, Figure 1, Breacher, and Hellhound. He's a Belgian Malinois. And the cool thing about the packaging is we are going to be releasing a trading card that gives you a wide shot of the artwork. And then if you turn that around on the other side, it gets a close-up of the artwork, right? So when you cut these out, you got a nice wide shot of the art and close-up of the art. And that's going to go on to these little figure stands. So I actually kind of had them jammed together. There's these little ridges on the back of them, and the ridges
Flip the
you
card in there.
exactly. So you've got the little
Nice.
feet pegs. This is version 5 because I was prototyping these using the printer out in my studio. So anyway, can you see those 2 logos there, Rob?
Yes.
This is the Atlas logo. So it's an eagle with an A on it, and that was designed by Ron Rudat. And it's a very beautiful logo. I'm very, very happy with it. Sorry, everything's backwards here. Everything's backwards. But the logos came out really cool. And this is the Orthrus logo. Now, granted, the split skull came from Malcolm Zydek, also a.k.a. Chad LaForce. What's up, homie? Chad LaForce gave us that split skull as part of his cadaver submission, and we love that so much it percolated throughout the bad guys. But the bad guys are called Orthrus, which is a 2-headed dog in Greek mythology. So we got our good guys and our bad guys. It's Atlas versus Orthrus, and those will be represented on these stands. And I'm working with the project manager that did the Delta 17 stuff, and he's actually talked me into saying, what the hell, we'll put a touch of color on the figure stands too. So the figure stands are going to have a touch of color on the A for Atlas, and it's going to have a touch of color on the skull for Orthrus. Now, the reason I wanted to show these stands is because they have that little groove along the backside. I don't think I've seen that done before, so I think this is a novel approach. But you'll have the figures, the feet, the heels go in here just like anything else, and there's a little room between where the heels go in and where the back of the card is, and that's so you can stand the figure with their full gear load, their backpack, machine guns, ammo belts, and all that stuff hanging off, and then you can stick the full carded figure right down this little slot right here. So it could be this whole little card back, and now this paper's thinner than the paper that they'll come with. But yeah, it would just sit up like this, and you could put the whole card back behind it, or you can cut out this trading card and put that right behind it, or you could just cut out the file card. These file cards are all written by Larry Hama, and they're amazing, obviously. Thank you, Larry. So this is wave 1. That's Breacher and Hellhound. We got the lead bad guy, General Mortafero.
There you go.
Pretty great. Now, this is not final. Ed Morrell's going in here and he's tweaking the explosions, and he reserves kind of the last right of the final pass on the edit. And one of the things that he did was he thought that General Mortafero needed to be zoomed in more and cut off the boots and get more imposing, a more imposing impact for him. And so that's been revised a little bit. This is the Mizumu Corps, who are the jungle troopers. They come with a big machine gun, a backpack with a couple ammo cans, and a flexible ammo belt, and a machete that tucks into the backpack. They're really cool troopers. These are jungle troopers that have little scarred arms. So that's like a scarification pattern. And we're actually going to make a variant. So this is a troop builder, but he's going to have different skin tone on his arms and different scarification patterns for different versions of this troop builder. It's going to be a 50-50 mix of the different scarification patterns and different skin tones. And then for year 2, you're going to meet the Mizumu Corps leader, who's unmasked, has an entirely different deco for the whole outfit, and has a 3rd set of scarification pattern arms. So we're planning ahead for year 2. This is General Mortafero again. You've already seen him. You've already seen Breacher. Okay, this is the Dark Reapers. And this is our most popular figure. This is kind of the big bad guy kind of infantry. And really, really cool design there. You can see that split skull made it onto his chest for his body armor that's like stapled together because it's been through so much.
Right.
Yeah, and so you can see all 19 figures that we're developing. I've got 4 more of these, but I haven't had those printed. So if you want to see the other 4, then go to the Operation Recall page on Kickstarter, go to updates and go to the latest update, and you'll see all of the wave 1 and 2 artwork. So I wanted to show real quick. Let's do present, share screen, window, and we'll do this whole window, share. All right, close out the calendar. Can you see my screen now? Ooh, that's funny.
Whoa.
So I wanted to give you an idea of how intense and how many people are involved, how intense it is, how many steps along the way, and then how many different people are involved in this kind of process. So Doug Hart is working on his last 3 paintings. I actually just got paintings in for let's see, Salty Dog. Yep, he's our Navy CB. So he's pretty much done with Salty Dog. So he's really just got Night Raid and Lilith left. And I've already seen line art for those, and I shared those in the last Kickstarter update. So the only thing that I haven't shared since the Kickstarter update in regards to his paintings is Salty Dog, and Salty Dog's looking great. We've got 5 more Paint Masters to go. So when those Paint Masters are in hand, then that's when I'm going to do what I just showed you guys, which is the Paint Master Scale Masters. If you go to operationrecall.com/roll call and then scroll to the bottom of the page, these are the Paint Master Scale Masters. This is what I send to the factory to show the exact dimensions, both in inches and millimeters. But then I've also got a fun little in real life translation of that. So for example, Bear Claw is going to actually be 4 inches tall, whereas most typical GI Joes are 3.75, right? This is something that the creative team wanted to do. They wanted to have a few taller figures and one shorter figure. And so we're doing that at the factory. And that's something that they wanted to do back in the day, but engineering would never let them get away with it. So you see, like in real life, Bear Claw would be 6'2", Breacher would be 5'9". He's a 3.75 inch figure. There's Bingle. There's Clanker and Tank. The freaking Tactical Tortoise is amazing. There's Dark Reapers. There's General Mortefero. There's Lilith. There's the Mizumu Corps. There's the OG Rotello and Homer, the carrier pigeon that I submitted to Hasbro when I was 10 years old.
Right.
And here we are 35 years later. There's Salty Dog.
The first Rotello made his public debut on this very channel. So
that's right. That's right.
You go back in the archives about 3 years, you'll get the first appearance of Rotello.
That's right, because I was doing him for a chapter in the book. There was going to be a chapter in the book called "The Art of Action Figure Design," and
you were still trying to track down the official, Hasbro designation on this project, which they wound up not giving you, but still, that was that's the flavor of that episode. So I went back and watched it back a few weeks ago.
Oh wow!
It was funny to me, just the different. Just nothing stopped you on this, man. Every time somebody threw something in front of you, you found a way around it or a way through it.
Pretty hard-headed like that, right?
Yeah. So it made me proud of you all over again.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's a culmination of a lot of people's effort, But yeah, so this is Soul Eagle. He's our basically luchador. His father was actually the championship wrestler, so the belt that he has belongs to his father. And he's our big guy that's got this huge Gatling gun that he just single-handedly carries into battle. Removable ammo cans that come out of the backpack and swap into the Gatling gun. So we've got some really good. There's our Midnight Ops. He's our first repaint. We're only doing 1 repaint this whole first year. We're doing 19 new figures with only 1 of those being a repaint. So we're cutting 18 new molds, which is insane. That is so much money. Anyway, so Operation Recall, again, it's like 15 people. We're at step 21 right now, where Big Joe at the factory is creating the kind of final color decos using the 3D models. So I sent the resin copies to the factory. They scanned them. And then I was working with Carter, who's a former Hasbro guy as well, doing 3D revisions on those, as well as Big Joe. We kind of split the load on wave 1, but now it's all Carter. So, again, I can go in here and do like this. But then I should color those yellow because that work's not complete yet. So that's how I track everything. It's a massive project. If you guys want to stay up to date with it, just the main place to go is the Kickstarter for the updates. I do these about every month or so, and they're in depth. There's usually a lot here. Like just on this one update, there's a 20-minute video where I'm walking through the different 3D models that I was just telling you guys about and all the stuff that Big Joe's been working on. He's been amazing. Just for the record, he's a former Hasbro Far East guy as well. He works with Valaverse and Delta 17. He's worked on the Black Series and Classified as well. So like these guys are legit. We're working with the best guys. And I love it because, Operation Recall, the original premise was let's get the old guys from the 80s and 90s back to work. And now we've actually got some of the newer guys as well. This is one of the recent sculptures that we had done for for cadavers. And so this is showing you a little bit of the sculpt work by Mike Good and then also Scott Andrews, who's doing the casting. So if you want to see, and there's the latest painting. So that's the logistics and supply officer. This guy's actually going to be dedicated to Bob Prupus, who was the vice president of Boys Toys in the early 80s. And he's the one that was responsible for getting G.I. Joe relaunched for A Real American Hero. And his daughter, Sherry Prupus, and the rest of the family were flattered and wanted me to do it. So we're going to do a tribute figure to Bob Prupus, and his name is Scrounger. And he's a quartermaster, and Bob Prupus was in the military, and Bob Prupus was a quartermaster as well. And that's why Kirk Bizigian selected this figure when we were going through the 270 submissions that we got from the community. They definitely gravitated to this figure out of love for Bob. And so now we've kind of come full circle and gotten approval from the family to make this kind of the Bob Prupus portrait. We got it to try to look like him. I sent Doug Hart several photos of Bob. And so this is a really cool tribute to him. There's Salty Dog, there's Lilith, and there's Night Raid and Ozzy. And so this gives you a look at kind of the behind the scenes, like line art development that I do with Doug. Before we start painting, he sends me line art, and then I go in and I kind of mark up costume details in green and give him a bunch of reference photos, be it artwork or photos of real world examples of that stuff. Like, you can see photos for the knee pads kind of photoshopped into place here. So I do, this is kind of my role. I would say I'm kind of like an art director, at least in this part of the project. And it's so much fun to work with these guys. I feel really, really lucky and really blessed to be plugged in with all these guys. So if you want to keep up with Recall, please check out the Operation Recall updates on Kickstarter. That's your best source. But then there's also Operation Recall social media, and you can follow those, and that'll be more granular kind of stuff. All right, so I'm going to
real quick, Carson, we'll throw in a couple of comments here. Todd Brettrud notes that a regular Operation Recall update with Carson as the guest would be super fun. Look, we get Carson on as often as he's available to come on.
Thank you, Todd.
This dude's busy.
So it's anxiety inducing to like carve off a whole night to do like social media outreach, but like I know I need to do it, man. Like I really do. Like I would not be doing any of the projects that I'm working on if I didn't have the people in the community in my corner supporting it.
Keep your Wednesdays free. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I would say, when I do an update on Kickstarter, like let's do one after each major update, just so we would get into a cadence. I'd be cool with that.
All right.
So anyway, that's Operation Recall. I saw one comment asking if we're going to have them for Joe Fest. When I first started working with Big Joe back in November, definitely he communicated that he thought we could have Wave 1 by Joe Fest. But look, I don't force anybody to hit a date. I want everybody to take all the necessary steps to make sure it's a perfect product, right? And so with Big Joe, we have been revising those 3D models. They've been doing prototypes. We've gotten the prototypes. We've marked them up and made changes. They're revising those. So I hope I at least have the prototypes in hand for Joe Fest. I doubt personally that we're going to have Wave 1 in hand for Joe Fest. I know it's like heartbreaking. I want nothing more than to have those ready for Joe Fest, but we'll see.
Maybe assembly required.
Yeah. Oh, well, the assembly required's in the fall. We damn sure better. I'm gonna go from being slightly heartbroken to being mad if we don't have it by assembly required.
Right. I'm just trying to drive traffic, man. That's all.
I appreciate it. I definitely will be attending assembly required this year. That was a great show last year. But so that's pretty much it for Operation Recall. Thought it was on Tuesday. What's he talking about? Comics?
He's talking about our changing the night of the show. Okay. Where can these be purchased is the important part from Randy Ashley there.
Sure. So I'm going to do a present. Let's see, share screen. And then I'm going to do that whole window again.
Yep.
All right. And then hopefully you guys are seeing my window.
Woo!
And so it's like you're going warp speed. So this is operationrecall.com is the webpage. And you can learn all about the project. Where did it come from? Who's the team that's working on it? And then there's I think this is the music video. No, this is Meet the Creative Team. This is a cool little maybe 8-minute video that introduces you to all the guys. It's like I got the Beatles back together to make a whole new album. It's literally the guys that made our childhood awesome, and they're making all new toys again. If you click on this button, it's also the second page under the little menu tab, but backstory. This walks you through the Rotello idea that I had as a 10-year-old kid, and then Ron Rudat's designs of it. That's 2020. So we've been working on this for 4+ years now. But it walks you through the creative process for how we made this stuff. And it's just been nothing but fun to work with these guys. I feel, very, very blessed. I'm working with designers, packaging guys, graphic designers, logo branding type people, sculptors, all aspects of creation. We've been able to pull the old guys back together. And then the 3D modeling and the manufacturing is newer guys. that still have a lot of toy industry experience. And so there's the creative team. Anyway, and then year one, the roll call. This is the page where you'll learn about all 19 figures that we're developing. And so the top is basically like package paintings and presentation artwork from Mark Pennington and Ron Rudat. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the paint masters that are ready. We don't have all 19 of these in here yet. I did just get one in. After I stop screen sharing, I'll show you one figure that's not on here yet. But so you kind of go to this page and get familiar with all the figures that we're making. Then scroll to the bottom, click on backer kit, and then go in and select your pledge level and get busy. So that's how you back it. Now every week I'm getting stuff in, if it's new paintings or if it's paint masters or if it's sculptures or what have you, 3D renders from the factory. So this week's awesome surprise came from Ray Murphy out of Ireland, and this is our ninja named Shh. And this kind. So basically, for those that don't know, these figures, we opened up the submissions. We did a call for submissions to the community, and we took like 270 entries for these guys. And this figure came from Alexander Mural, who's an amazing young man. And when we were at Joe Fest and did the panel where we revealed out of the 270 that were selected, these are the 19 that we're going to be working on. Alex was there, and so he got to see his concept get picked, and that was amazing. And then like a year or two later, Alexander is there hanging out with Mark Pennington, who did all the design work for this figure. And it's just like, it's these really cool memories along the way where you get to see like the impact on the people that created this stuff, that came up with the initial concepts. So this is his little hood. Now these have been sculpted out of hard goods, but I think what we're going to do, I've been talking about this with Big Joe at the factory, and he worked on a Luke Skywalker Black Series figure. And I was thinking that, you know, this figure would probably be better served with soft goods, and Big Joe agrees with that. And 9 times out of 10, if I think something is a good idea and Big Joe's like, yeah, that's a better idea, then we're probably going to go in that direction. But one of the things we're going to do for this guy is go with the soft goods for the cloak. But nice. One of the things I really dig about this cloak is that it's black on the inside and white on the outside with the kind of Tetris camo, we'll call that. And so these are brilliantly painted by Ray Murphy. And I just got this in. So the next step will be to set this up on my photography table and take a bunch of photos of this. And then I'll be able to do the packaging mock-ups. And of course, it's not just a figure. It's an awesome compound bow. And this is the same guy that designed Storm Shadow version 2. So that kicks me right in the Storm Shadow version 2 feels.
Right. Lots of nice nods.
You got 2 little holes right here. You're not going to have a giant red backpack with the world's longest nunchuck on it, so don't worry about that. But you are going to have
now.
Yeah, I never love that accessory. But anyway, you know, these 3D these accessories, you know, there's little peg holes to attach the bow and arrow to the backpack in 2 places. And you got your arrows, and then you have a big grappling hook, and of course you'll have a rope. And then on the other side of the rope is this little kind of spear arrow thing. And so this is his grappling hook. And this is his forearm blade, one of his really cool accessories. And so, yeah, this is what we call a paint master. I just got this in. So that's my new fun stuff for the week for Operation Recall. I think that's all I have to show for Recall.
Real quick, Rick Shatterjazz Glass says, Carson has lightning in a bottle on this project. I've been on board since he first pitched Operation Recall to the public.
Thank you, Rick.
Diana Davis, he does all this, and he's a dad, man. It's amazing.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Molly
Stygian
makes it easy.
Stygian 360 asks, another recall panel at Joe Fest this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're due. We're absolutely due for an update, and we're going to have Mark Pennington and Ron Rudat and Larry Hama and Doug Hart, and I think that's the whole team that we're going to have there this year.
How much more do you need, man? It's only one panel.
It's a good squad. You know, Doug was there last year, and it was his first convention that he had done ever. And this guy worked at Hasbro from 1984 to 1999. He did so many different products for Hasbro, and it was the first time that he got to feel that spotlight in the crowd, because he'd done, for me, just for Operation Recall, we've commissioned him to do 18 paintings, right? But then Call Sign Longbow commissioned him to do another 11, and Robo Skull commissioned him to do a couple more. So he's done over 30 paintings in the last couple years, and that all started from Rotello, right? So that's like, if there's anything I feel good about with this project, it's plugging those guys back in, because they're so talented. They're still doing amazing work, and there's no reason, if they want to be doing it, that they shouldn't be doing it, you know? So
like,
that's been really fun.
I don't know Doug. I haven't met Doug, and I was on my way over to say hi at Joe Fest, but I kind of let him have a moment, because when I ran into him, he was just like, he was struggling to take in the enormity of that room. It was kind of the same reaction that Bob Brecken had.
Right.
And that they just like, and the way it was set up at Joe Fest last year, basically it was the big, the big convention room, and then the second floor across from. So it looked like you had this convention just coming at you from all sides, including above you. So it was really an impressive visual, and I just kind of let him soak it in, right? Like, I just didn't want to get in the middle of that.
Yeah,
and just, I mean, the look on his face, it was really fun to see.
He was a pig in shit. That's what we say. That's what we say in the South. He was a pig in shit. He was so happy the whole show. He was walking around, people were approaching him and just gushing, about the different things they've been working on, and he absolutely loved it. He can't wait to come back again this year.
Jeff Butler says, in the way Art of G.I. Joe isn't just a book, Operation Recall isn't just a toy line. Carson puts everything into his projects.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, man. I definitely do. I'm guilty as charged, man. I'm living the dream. The fact that these different ideas keep coming, and that, you guys keep supporting them, and I'm able to work on them with people that I love and respect and think are just the most talented people. So yeah,
my submission was wadded up and thrown in the trash immediately, but I'm still here supporting you.
We didn't throw anything away. Hey, actually, spoiler alert, from those initial 270 entries, we picked our top 16 for like year 1, and we picked our backup 16 for year 2. So we've actually already begun work on year 2, and Ron Rudat and Mark Pennington are already designing 5 of the new figures. So we're still going. I'm planning all this and doing the frontline work. Where it gets really, really expensive is when you're working with the factory and you go to start cutting molds. That's where it's like, you got to make the painful decisions. That's when you're talking $80,000 here and $80,000 there, and before you know it, $180,000.
You talk about a lot of money.
$180,000 for 4 figures. It adds up. Okay.
It is where the proverbial rubber meets the road.
Yeah. So we're continuing to develop, though, through year 2. I've already got ideas for all 17 figures, because G.I. Joe at its peak was doing like 17 mainline figures pretty consistently. I think it's 85, 86, 87, 88. They would do 17 mainline figures, and then they might have some drivers and they'd have some sublines or whatever.
Right.
But we want to hit that tempo, and I know that's like ridiculously ambitious, but that's what we're working toward. And year 2, we've already pulled some concepts, and they've already started work on it. So
Craig Cohan says, "Damn you, Carson. Like, I need to add another collection to my collections. These are really cool. I'm slow on the uptake of getting these." Well, I mean, the backer kit is still there for you, man.
Yeah, and we're not going to close the backer kit until we've got all the paint masters in. And like I said, when I showed the chart earlier, we've got 5 outstanding paint masters. The last 2 just got cast by Scott Andrews at Lightbeam 3D. Those are on their way down to me. And then the last 3 are going to Ray Murphy, and then he'll send those back. And then I've got 1 more out with Matthew LaCroix and 1 more out with Alex Painter. So once we've got those 5 paint masters done, I'll do the paint master, scale master kind of images that I showed you on Operation Recall. Then I can do the mock-up packaging. And at that point, I'm going to say, okay, guys, it's time. Let's lock in your final choices. And that'll guide me, like I was saying earlier about the books, that'll guide me about, okay, well, this figure's really popular. We should order an extra 1,000 of him, right? And it'll help educate those decisions. So thank you to everybody that's backed the project or jumped into backer kit after the Kickstarter. You guys are letting us know which figures are more popular and potentially which ones to order a little bit more of. So it does matter.
Dagon likes to is saying. So what you're saying is that my idea was so bad as to not make year 2, is what you're saying.
It might not. It might not be in the top 32, Mike. I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Whatever.
It wasn't thrown away. It was used to wrap a sandwich, and then
nothing's thrown away.
Then thrown away.
It's just in the folder called potential year 5 or something.
Just tell me it was covered in spicy mustard on its way out.
Right.
I'll take that as a win.
There you go. All right. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys.
Yeah, we're not stopping at Operation Recall. We got other stuff going on.
Everybody knows this by now, right?
Yeah.
Most people have seen this. This is the Art of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero. We worked on this from
them forearms, Carson.
Gee, you could just sit here and do curls with it. We worked on this from 2015 till 2019, the soft cover versions, and then those sold out. And we worked on this from we really started working on it pretty much right away. We threw out the first 4 or 5 years worth of assets and reshot and rescanned everything and re-edited everything because we had gotten better. And we just weren't happy looking at volumes 1 and 2. They weren't up to snuff. So this is the big daddy of them all. We spent, I'd say, probably 2019 to December of 2023 working on this, 4 years. It was about a year and a half of full-time work for me. I wrote all 75,000 words and laid out all 712 pages. I did have some help from Brian Sauer with the packaging design and some of the templates for the book. So shout out to Brian on that. And I had massive help from Chad Huckle. He's on the cover. Begrudgingly, I finally made him take the credit on the cover. I didn't take no for an answer. So I finally got Chad on there. I tried to get him on the soft covers and he would never say yes to it. I'm like, whatever, dude, you're just going on there this time. You can't say no.
I was specifically under a doctor's orders for a couple months to not lift that book.
Really? So the only complaint that I've heard about this is that it's too much. It's too big. It's too great, So I take that. I'll take that and run with it. There's very little, constructive criticism other than
it is a fantastic piece of work. So
I literally hear from people like, I can't read it on the toilet. I'm like, that's gross. Don't read it on the toilet.
Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Go sit at your dining table and read the thing,
Right.
Anyway, so this was my big baby. This, like I said, 8 years of my life, and very happy with where we ended up. And we ended up with such a great product because so many people came out on the Kickstarter. And when is it coming to Audible?
I actually with the question we all want.
I haven't even released this to digital. With the soft covers, I did iTunes and Amazon. And you don't make anything off of that. It's like Zazzle where they keep like 90% of it,
Yeah.
But I like to make it accessible in that way. Once these sell out, I'll probably spend the time to do that. But it's, it's limited time, right? So like, I don't know, not everything gets done. This book, there are 300 and some change at the factory. And then I've got a garage full of them as well. So we're down to like several hundred. We're, out of 8,400. It's amazing. It's been a huge success. That said, I want to go from doing the world's largest G.I. Joe book to doing the world's smallest G.I. Joe book.
That's adorable.
Look at this little guy. All right. So here's a scale comparison, right? All right. So the point of this,
you held them up before, and I think the new book got lost in the old book. So
right,
good that you drew attention.
Now this is a really
new book.
This is a print off my inkjet printer, so don't judge the saturation, the color pop, of all this. This is literally just like a proof of concept,
right?
But this is a field guide. You stick this in your jacket pocket, your back pocket, wherever you want to stick it. And this is an index of the figures and the accessories and potentially the file cards or the mint on card figures, or it could be all of the above. So here's where I want your help. Let me share my screen real quick.
Michael Mercy says the new book is a bookmark for the old book.
Nice. All right. So we're going to share that window. There we go. All right. I literally just put this up last night, right? When I sent that email out. So Let me switch on over here. This is the spreadsheet that I created for the Art of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero. It is, all 712 pages, and you can see how intense that was to make sure we included everything and that it all ended up laid out properly. This will be a similar undertaking, but much smaller. So this will be every single figure and every single accessory at a 1-to-1 scale. So these are life size, right? So you'll be able to lay the figure right on top of it, lay the accessory right on top of it. And let me open this up in a new tab real quick. And so again, this is shot by me with a 4-piece light kit with a suspended camera. And what we actually do is put this transparency, this 1-inch transparency grid in between two pieces of archival non-glare reflecting glass. And then that glass is suspended 4 inches over the table. And the reason we do it that way is there's no reflection of different colors onto the figure. This is the cleanest way to get these figures. The shadows are all super diffuse, and then we still go in and clean it up and cut things out and everything.
Right.
But I think basically we've got the photography perfected. Mike, you know this. I shared it with the Yojo guys and shared it out in our little group a long time ago. So you might remember seeing this tabletop setup. It's definitely the best way to get super high detail, really crisp, really, lit from 4 corners with the lights down at 45 degrees. So you're not getting these crazy lights on the front of the figure that the camera's looking at.
Right.
And so I think I'm very happy with the results, with the quality of the imagery here. It's super crisp. So this will all be 1-to-1. Now, what I've put on this page, though, this is where I want you guys to all come weigh in. And this is 3D Joe's. It's live now. If you go into the store and then click on Field Guides, this is the page. And so there's 4 options that I'm considering. Book 1, or the first option, would be the entire A Real American Hero run in one book. It would be 1 figure per page. There's 483 figures. This would be about a 500-page book. We'd spend the extra pages talking about some of the variants and things to look out for on various years. But that's it. That's the formula. Keep it simple. This is a run and gun checklist for you. And so each accessory has its own little checkbox. So if you've got the figure, you would check off the figure over here on the side. If you've got some of the accessories, but not all of them, then you would go down this includes list and you would check off the ones that you have. And then once you have all of the accessories, then you would check off the accessories here over on the tab. And the reason for that is you should be able to flip through this and at a glance, just flip through those tabs and see where the remaining like non-checked boxes are. And that gives you an instant indicator of like where you need to dig in and find the missing stuff. And so when I was going back in and completing my collection, 2007 to maybe 2011, I used Belomo's book. And before that, I used the Decimone book. And they both have their pros and cons. I would say the negative that this addresses is portability. This is going to be an amazing guide to stuff in your pocket and take it to every show with you. And you're going to be able to flip through like I was just talking about. And right there on the edge, you're going to be able to see which figures and accessories do you still have those big, white, gaping, empty holes. Those are the holes in your collection. And so once you're done with that, you just color that in and you flip right past that page. All right. So option 1 is 82 to 94 in one 500-page book. Option 2, there's kind of, this would necessitate 2 full volumes, 2 500-page volumes. So if you're cool with having 2 guides, one in your left back pocket, one in your right back pocket, and you're still sitting balanced in the car,
right,
then this is your option. This could go one of 2 ways, though. This
it's good for your back, Carson. It's good for your back. There you go.
Yeah, you don't want to be unbalanced, right? So this would be a 2-volume solution, and it would include every figure and every mint on card sample, right? A 1 mint on card sample for every figure is the way I should have said that. So that's option 2. Option 3 is similar, still a 2-guide scenario, but instead of the mint on card figure, you get the file card. So that's option 3. And then option 4 would be 3 books, and 1 book would be the figures, 1 book would be the file cards, and 1 book would be the mint on card specimens. So I've already responded to the poll. I know which one I would prefer to do, but as with everything that I've done with the community before, I wholeheartedly believe in, coming up with a few solutions, a few possible solutions, and then putting it in front of the community and figuring out what do they think is the optimal solution. Because I remember the first poster I did, it was the 1982 to 1989 loose figures on that white background. And I really wanted to do it very like minimalist and elegant,
right.
Design school kid was like, everybody already knows who these figures are, so I'm just going to do the figures. And I remember some guys on his tank were like, yeah, no, everybody doesn't know that. You should put the name and the code name with them. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do both. So I did both. And the one with the code names and the specialties has outsold the elegant and clean one by a factor of 9 to 1. right? So that's me first project in the community, getting feedback from the community and making something based on their feedback that is 9 times more successful out there. So I'm still taking that approach. And so my ask for from you guys is to go to 3D Joe's, go into the store, click on field guides, take a minute and take that poll and let me know which one you'd be most excited to back.
Greg Augustin asks, will it have drivers and pilots?
Absolutely. And, I've been talking about this with a couple friends. If we do the one that has it's okay, Lila. If we do the one that has the mint on card specimen, then for the drivers and pilots, you would see their vehicle box. If we do the one that has the file cards, then obviously you'll see the file cards, except for that Nitro Viper. But we could probably go ahead and reprint his too. Anyway. Yeah. Not official. I mean, it came out in a magazine. That's the one figure that they missed a file card on the whole run. So
I always wonder how they ended up doing that.
It's because they were moving way too fast in 1993, creating exponentially more product with the same size product development team. They were making more with the same amount of people, and that's because sales had started to decline. I'll go ahead and plug this, the Digipack, the Blu-rays, right? So there's 4 Blu-rays in here. It's called The Art of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. It's 4 Blu-rays. This is all interviews with the creators. And the third interview is my favorite because, number one, I didn't know as much about the 90s when I started building 3D Joes in 2012. And it's with Vinny DeLevia. He was the brand manager from 1990 to 1994. He's an amazing storyteller. He was the lead marketer. He was in charge of the brand. So he's like the Kirk Bazigian of the 90s. By that point, Kirk had been promoted up to the VP of Boys Toys.
Right.
So he was the brand manager, Vinny DeLevia. And he's talking about exactly that, like what was going on in 1993. And they were just making way too much stuff, man. And it's because
93 was a bloated year. Yeah, it was.
Well, especially with figures, right? But even if you look at like the big ticket price items, the big vehicles, they had like 4 or 5 big vehicles all come out in the last quarter of that year as well. And that's why 94 looks like a really light vehicle year, but really it's that they crammed a bunch of stuff into the back end of 93 and that stuff just rolled over. But, us archivist kind of historian people, we categorize it as 93 because it came out in 93. But in reality, that stuff had just come out and it was really rolling through 94.
Right.
So,
the line was starting to get blurry by that point as far as one edition per year of everything, the way it worked in the 80s.
That's one of the things I talked about with Vinny, and he said he'd be happy to try to help me figure this out. We really need to start moving our thinking historically about G.I. Joe into a quarterly thinking, because that's absolutely what their strategy was by the 90s. They weren't thinking in terms of years anymore. They were thinking every quarter, what new product are we going to have and what commercial support are we going to have for that? So when Sonic Fighters came in 90 or Electronic Supersonic Fighters in 91, they had commercial support for those. That was like the first time that the figures by themselves, since the early 80s, when they were doing like Mutt and Junkyard, Blowtorch, that kind of thing, from the very early 80s all the way through the mid to late 80s, they didn't advertise figures like that. They didn't.
Right.
It had to be a bigger ticket product for it to get commercial support. By the time they started to do those deluxe figures, that's when they brought back commercial support for the sublines and the, Electronic Supersonic Fighters, big backpacks, and, the Play-Doh, Mega Marines or whatever. So
right. They would have the figures in the commercials, but it was always in tandem with something bigger.
Yeah. Like it'd be talking about Slaughter's Marauders as a subline. You might meet the figures, but we're talking about a bunch of vehicles too, So I thought it was interesting. These field guides have existed for quite some time. So this isn't like a new format, but there's never been a field guide that does A Real American Hero, G.I. Joe, every single figure, every single accessory. So it's a need that I feel like I could have really benefited from, the late 2000s and into the 2010. So I want to create things that people find useful. And so that's going to be my next little project there.
Rick asks, Carson, do you have an update you can share about any Operation Recall comic-related fiction to go along with such amazing figure lineup? Anything that might be ready for wave 1 or 2?
Yeah, so the year 2022 2022 was the blowout year where we had the Kickstarter for the book and the Kickstarter for Operation Recall, raised a ton of money, took all that money, put it into the book and put it other places so I wouldn't end up eating a bunch of taxes on it. And then 2023 was the year where I made no money, negative money, right? So my taxes literally came back negative $65,000 in 2023.
Nice.
So 2024, I had the book and the book was selling well. So I'm back in the positive. So long story short, the reason I'm talking about money is if I make the comic book, I've got to personally fund that. It can't come out of the toy budget. You know, the toy budget's already allocated for the toys. And so it's really a question about, you know, do I want to take out a home equity line of credit to make a comic book? That's what it comes down to, you know, because the other option is put it on Kickstarter, but Kickstarters for comics, you know, if it's like single issues or like maybe one trade paperback of 8 issues, they really blow it out. Like they come up with all kinds of different covers and then original artwork, and they make a whole big thing about it. And the ones that have been doing well are the ones that are like deluxe hardcovers where, you know, some people are doing like where you stack 30 hardcovers on the ground and then you do an overpaint where you paint one giant image and then you get one hardcover that's like part of the image. It's this whole elaborate thing because comics aren't selling that much. And they've got to squeeze the consumer for more and more money just to make the budget to make the comic, right? That's why you're seeing 20 plus variants with each book, because every time that Skybound or whoever sells a variant cover to a store, there's a minimum order there, right?
Yeah.
And so that store's got to buy X number of copies. And so that's how they're, and I'm not talking smack. That's just the reality of the comic book business now.
Right.
So there's so few readers that you have to be really creative with how you kind of make your budget. I don't feel good or okay with trying to be really creative in squeezing that money out of the community. I think that's what it comes down to for me with the comic book.
Right.
And I've talked to Bobby Valla about this. You know, he did 8 issues with Action Force. It was a loss leader. He lost money on it.
Mm-hmm.
He went to school for comics. He loves comics, and that's why he did them, you know. But I don't want to speak for, I'm not speaking for him. He might pick it up at number 9, but he might not, you know. And I know that just like financially, it's not where you're going to make your money. So that's a financial question for me. I honestly, I just can't say if we'll get there yet or not. I'm so much more worried about making sure these toys come out awesome. So
yeah, Jake Rose asked, would Skybound do it or any other publisher? And I mean, it's up to them.
Hit me up. You know, if anybody's watching this and they think there's a lot of potential for Operation Recall, I would be more than happy to partner with a publisher. You know, if it were IDW or Boom or Skybound, Image, hit me up, man. Anybody that sees the potential that I see in this project, I'll tell you this, I'm going to be putting hundreds of thousands of my own dollars into making the toys. I can't justify putting $80,000 into the comic book, which is what I think the budget would need to be for it to be the quality that I want it to be. So I'm not at a position where I can do that right now.
Right.
But
and it's safe to say that I would think Skybound itself would probably not be interested.
Yeah, they don't want to touch it. They're doing really well with what they got. Right.
Right. They don't. The last thing you want to do is compete with yourself.
No.
And that's
nothing might jeopardize that license.
Yeah. To go back to what you were saying though, Mike, you know, I absolutely have offered this thing up on multiple occasions to my friends at Hasbro, but you know, it's just not in the cards. So we'll see.
Right. They're in the process of licensing things out. They're not looking to take on subletters.
It's a tricky situation, right? Because this would be what's called in the biz an inventor concept, right? So this would be an external product that's been developed and then brought to a company, and then they take it and mass market it and, you know, get it over the finish line. And Hasbro is definitely moving away from that model, and they're moving more towards what you're saying, the licensing model, where they have, you know, 3.0 making 12-inch, and they've got Super 7 making 7-inch Ultimates, and 4-inch Reaction, and now 4-inch Reaction Plus, and you know, Haya Toys doing 4-inch highly articulate modern sculpt style, and blah 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 blah. Right? So they're not taking inventor concepts and making it themselves like they used to. They're going to companies that already successfully develop toys and licensing them the brand and letting those people do things. So I think it could be a timing thing. I don't think it's that they didn't see potential, you know, in the concept. I just think it's not something they were going to invest in.
Right. I mean, Hasbro, we've kind of pushed past the E1 deal, but man, they took a bath on the E1 deal.
They really did. I think they paid $4 billion and they sold it for like $500 million or something.
$5 billion, and they sold it for less than $1 billion, and that just there's no way to make that math work. So licensing is a nice way for them to get guaranteed money out of what they own. So it's
low risk.
Right. It is, and it's probably going to be the way that it all works for a couple of years coming.
Yeah.
Cooter's Garage asks, is there any plans to bring the posters back to 3D Joe's?
Hey, thanks for asking that. Yes. So part of my deal with Hasbro, and I struck this deal with Michael Kelly back in the day when we had first done the Kickstarter in 2002, that basically like grandfathered in the posters that we had created through 3D Joe's as well. So we have a license for the Art of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and the 3D Joe's posters. But several of the posters had sold out. They were very close to done, and then a couple of them did run out. The Terrordrome and the 84 to 85 vehicles, and I think one other poster. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to pull those down because I don't want to sell incomplete sets. And it's a lot of time to pack those posters. It's such a I hate rolling posters.
Right.
But over the last several years, as we developed the Art of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, the omnibus hardcover, we got hundreds of unadorned art images, and we got a lot better resources, and we did all that restoration work on those. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is a 3D Joe's remastered poster series, and that will replace all that early artwork. So we'll re-release some of the posters with much better assets. And then we'll get a few other images in there that I really, really want to see hanging on people's walls. So more to come on that. Yes, the answer is yes, and thank you for asking.
And last question from Jeff Butler. Will there be an Operation Recall exclusive for Joe Fest or DFW Joe Show? Like the card sets the last 2 years.
Yeah, so what I'm shooting for this year, I don't have the card sets on my desk. Year one was Ron Rudat and Mark Pennington's design work. So it was a black and white card set on like a rough textured paper. I wanted it to feel like a sketch pad kind of thing. And then last year's set was a polished glossy trading card that had Ron Rudat, Mark Pennington's presentation art on one side, and then a figure sculpture sheet that was full color on the opposite side. And they would have drawn that as well. So year 3 is going to be the year for Doug Hart's package art. So you'll finally, because we've only got 3 paintings left, right? We're almost done. And I've told him, like, hey, we're at the end of March, man. You need to finish this one up. And then we got 2 months, man. We got 2 months. So he tells me he's going to make it. And, barring any problems, we're going to have a trading card set. It'll be the final trading card set for year 1. And it'll feature the package artwork. So those are going to be beautiful. Thank you for asking that too.
All right, man. So,
hey, before we go, I do want to show you guys one thing that I've been working on with my dad. This is very, very special to me. Obviously special to my father. So if you guys go to this website, it's called legacyofduty.com. And it's about my grandfather, who actually fought in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam in an infantry capacity. So he's got combat infantry badges for World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He also, as you can see from this photo right here, was instrumental in arming the Mujahideen against the Russians in Afghanistan in the 1980s. He's in his 70s in that photograph. This is during Vietnam in the late 60s, where he was senior advisor to the ARVN II Corps, the Vietnamese army, and in Vietnam 68, 69 is when this photo was taken. He was a lieutenant colonel, or no, he's a full bird. He's a colonel there. And then here he's working for the CIA, supplying the Mujahideen with Stinger missiles. Incredibly interesting guy. He's got a street named after him in France because he liberated a few towns there. This is in Oting, France, where there's the Rue de General Metaxas. This is him later in life. This was an initial draft of the book cover. So you can read about the book. You can read about my father, who's been writing the book. He's a lieutenant colonel, retired, 31 years in the Army, Special Forces, amazing soldier himself. And he's been writing it. There's little bios about the family members. You can learn about the general. He's a brigadier general, the triple CIB grandfather. And then my dad, you can learn about my brother, who's also a lieutenant colonel. He's active duty right now. There's me, and there's my sister. And then there's a bunch of publications, family publications, and then there's historical publications about the family as well. There's my G.I. Joe stuff. Oh, this is my aunt. She was doing paratrooping out of Fort Bragg way back in 1967. She was a little hottie too. Anyway, let's see. And then there's
easy now. That's family.
Easy now, easy now. And then there's about the book. It's got the foreword by H.R. McMaster, who's the former National Security Advisor.
Yeah.
And then there's some testimonials in here from various generals and special ops guys. There's the triple CIBs right there and some of his awards. But he was the real deal, and we're trying to preserve his legacy. So we've actually created a documentary here. Let me see if I can mute this. Are you guys?
Let me go ahead and get that out of there real quick.
Here, we'll mute that. What, is that going to get you in trouble?
Maybe.
Oh, stop. This is a documentary. Anyway.
I know, but
right?
you know how the
look,
world
man,
works.
YouTube is YouTube.
I love to tell people that, my granddad killed these guys. So
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway, it's a pretty cool documentary that goes all the way through World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Philippines, Afghanistan, like I was telling you about, India, Pakistan, the Kashmir region. He was active everywhere, and we've got hundreds and hundreds of photos in here. It's great. I mean, I'm biased. It's my family. I'm extremely proud of it. But those are like hand drawn maps that he was creating when he was basically going out, in the field and and figuring out India and Kashmir and Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pulled a lot of little samples from old documentaries and then weave that together with my dad kind of narrating this story. Let's see, you're going to see my granddad. There's my granddad supplying him in the 80s with this stuff. He was working for the Committee for a Free Afghanistan. And so it's just an incredible story that starts back in 1942 and goes all the way up through the 80s. So the entirety of the Cold War and 3 hot wars. So it's a cool documentary. We'll be rolling that out. So I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter for, I'll probably do a Kickstarter for the field guides. This little buddy right here. It won't cost too much, probably be $30 maybe. And then my dad's book is $35. So I'll be doing Kickstarters for both of those coming up.
There you go.
Yeah, we've been busy, man. This is why I'm not reading comic books.
I guess we'll let it pass.
Yeah, I'm an obsessive little worker, man. That's all it comes down to. I'm happiest when I'm making something. That's what it is.
I mean, same, but for me, it's usually those little dinner rolls that you just bust out of the tube. Like that's what I like to make. Anyways, we all have our own particular skill levels with these things. Doug Dello asks, how do you have time to do your paying job? He's a freelancer. That's how. Yeah,
no, Doug, the honest answer to that is when I'm really fired up on my personal private projects, I push a lot more of my work to freelancers, right? So I think last year I paid $120,000 out to other people. And what that translates to is I'm making a lot less money, but I'm so much happier. Like that's the short answer of it. I'm very lucky that I have friends that have skill sets that are similar to mine in terms of if it's animation or design or editing or what have you. And so I just try to give more of it away, and I still have to manage it and art direct it and make sure that the level of quality is there, because it's my company's called Locomotion Media Group. Locomotion's name is on the invoices, and I'm on every email thread. So it's got to represent me well, but I can give away most of it.
Anybody that wants to edit videos for like $5 a month?
I don't have any guys that work for that. I'm sorry. The lowest they go is 75, man.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Hey, so I think I saw somebody saying, where do we order this book? So the book, he's got a publisher. My dad's got a publisher lined up. We're going to be getting them in the fall. The reason I'm going to be doing this Kickstarter is because I'm going to be doing a couple perks for them. One that's like a dog tag shaped USB drive with a big archive on it with a bunch of, because my dad and I together have scanned hundreds of photos. We've got all of his old awards, his award citations. Like this dude got a Silver Star for running up on a German machine gun nest, killing 3 of them and capturing 3 of them. and he got a silver star for that, right? So
yeah, I would hope.
It's insane. And that was in January of 45. The dude didn't enter the theater until December 16th of 44. It's like he walked into the war theater and got a silver star the next month. It's crazy. Right. It's a crazy story, man. I've had so much fun working with my dad on it. But anyway, to their question, we're going to do a Kickstarter, and that's going to have the USB thumb drive with a bunch of multimedia stuff on it. And then we're going to do a photo pack of like 10 photos of his top moments, you know? Oh, I didn't show you guys this. He showed John Wayne around Vietnam in 1966. So I've got a photo. I've got multiple photos of him with John Wayne. This is John Wayne was studying for the movie The Green Berets. So I've got that. I've got photos of him with Ronald Reagan touring Valley Forge Military Academy in 1982. I've got photos of him with the Mujahideen. I've got Vietnam. I've got Korea. I've got World War II photos. So I'm just going to pick the top 10 and do like a photo album. So that'll be a really cool perk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to do a Kickstarter. The only way that we'll make those perks is through the Kickstarter. That's like a one and done thing. But the real reason for the Kickstarter is to help my dad ascertain what demand is going to be like for the book, so he can place his order for how much quantity he wants to order from the publisher type deal.
Yeah. Vagon is echoing what the exact thought in my head is the life some people live.
Yeah.
Holy my cow. Granddad, that is a one-of-a-kind individual. And one of the things you'll learn in that little documentary we made is his father immigrated in 1907. This is a first-generation American. When you read his letters that he wrote back to my grandmother, he's dyed-in-the-wool American, true believer, believes this is the land of opportunity, and he'll give everything for it. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that says, my dad was a young kid, and he wrote a letter back to my grandmother, and he said something to the effect of the old Greek proverb that you send them off to battle and they either come back with their shield or on it, right? You either go give it all, you either go win or you come back ready to be buried kind of thing. He was just a very special individual. Also, I mean, I will say he's an adrenaline junkie, right?
Right. He'd have to be, wouldn't he?
You couldn't unplug him from anything. They retired him. They retired him out of Cambodia in 1972. All right.
15, he wasn't quite done yet, was he?
15 years later, he's delivering Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen. Right. You're not getting rid of him. You're not getting rid of him.
Might as well put him to work. Otherwise, nobody's safe.
Yeah, exactly. They did. They'd put him to work. So yeah, we'll be doing a Kickstarter for that. And then I'll be doing a little Kickstarter for the little field guides as well. But please, now, whenever you get a chance, go to 3D Joe's, go under the store, click on field guides, and weigh in on, do you want this to be one book for the whole Real American Hero, or do you want it to be 2 books with the Mentum card, or do you want it to be 2 books with the file card, or do you want it to be 3 books where you have the loose figures on one and then file cards on another and then Mentum card on another? So I want to do what the community wants me to do. So,
all right.
That was a lot. You're right. I talk a lot.
You do, but that's okay. That's why you're here. It means the more you talk, the less I have to talk. So
I've got lots of ideas, Mike. This is what I lay in bed thinking about. And Lila's like, go to bed, Dad.
If only you were on a podcast every week.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying. You could have had it all, man.
Could have had it all. So close.
You were part of the impetus to move to video.
It's true.
And then
you pioneered that without me. All credit to you.
We did 2 episodes and you were out the door.
You spearheaded that. Give yourself credit, Mikey. You spearheaded that operation.
I went with what you and Joe Colton told me to do.
Yeah. You went the right direction.
Well, yeah, I think so too. I think I just needed somebody to give me a push and say, it's really not that hard.
Yeah.
So, but Vagon says, Carson, are you the youngest? I'm going to guess the youngest in your family is what he's asking.
I actually am. I'm wondering how he knew that. Yeah, I'm the youngest of 3. My brother's 2 years older than me. He's the lieutenant colonel now. And then my sister is 4 years older than me. So yeah, I'm the baby.
I'm about to say, because he's the youngest on this show by, a couple years.
I'm 46 now.
Oh, well. Look out for you.
That.
I remember that.
Right. Rob's like, that's when things didn't hurt as much. And I'm somewhere in between. Anyway.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, listening to me drone on about my projects, man.
Right. Joe Fan 84 says he's 41 today, which the math adds up on that one. So happy
Look at that
birthday,
young
Joe
buck.
Fan 84.
Yeah. Yep. So he grew up with the neon 90s.
That's right. Carson, we're running a little long, but we want to make sure, since you're our guest, you get anything cool in lately?
I got that Paint Master from Ray Murphy, so that was really cool. What else have I got? Oh, I'm collecting carded figures for the third time. So
look, man, it keeps you off the streets.
It's a true story. It's a true story.
Or put you on it. I don't know.
I collected from
like I like to say, Carson, it's good to see it. It means my hubcaps are safe.
Right. I collected from 2007 to 2013, and I sold them all to get a down payment for a house. And then I collected from 2013 to 2021, and all that's in the book. But then I went through a divorce, and I was running up for recall in the book, and I was like, I need this money. I need to turn these toys into money. And so I did that during COVID. No regrets. Like, that was a good time to sell. And then, I'm on my third time of building my carded figure collection. So it's a ton of fun. I just got an Alley Viper and Dusty in. I think those came from Chris Murray. So thank you, Chris. And then I got a few other carded figures from Sean Melissa on Facebook. I think it's one of those couples where they share their Facebook. Right. Sean, Melissa. Thank you. Sean or Melissa, or both of you. I'm pretty sure I'm dealing with Sean, but I never want to ask.
I'm going to go out on the limb, but you never know.
Yeah. It could be Melissa. You
right.
know.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Diana Davis is here with us in the live chat tonight. Her husband is not into G.I. Joe.
No.
He's probably watching, but
he's
supportive.
Not into
G.I. Joe.
Even the fact she's got a mannequin of Duke, he still supports the hobby.
Right. But yeah. Go ahead, Carson. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say he's a hell of a guy. He's a
absolutely
hell of a guy.
One of the best. So like I said, we're running a little long. So Rob and I are not going to do what we got in. I do want to make a quick mention. Fished it out of the mailbox yesterday, but my order from Heavy Armor Toys is in.
Oh, nice.
And we'll get a better look at those hopefully on our social media channels going forward with the rest of this week. Nice. So I'll be happy to show off my sailors, my box of semen. Anyways,
disgusting,
man. And I thought
I gotta take something.
Olagard had in the mailroom had the worst job.
Right. I gotta take something pure and fun and make it terrible.
Hey, have fun with your toys, Mikey.
Absolutely, man. So let's roll into shout outs. Carson, who we shouting out for?
Shout out to, I'd say the number one thing is all the Operation Recall people that are, patient with me, because it's a big team, it's a big operation, and we're steadily moving, steadily making progress. There's a couple thousand of them, and you only get like one or two where they're like, I want my toys, and I think everybody understands, like, we're taking all the right steps, and we're going to bring them out, and they're going to be super high quality. If anybody's picked up the Delta 17 stuff, we're working with the same project manager, same factory. They're actually going to be compatible and swappable. And there could be some conditions down the road in which we share molds and cross-pollinate each other's lines. We'll see how that goes. I think that would be fun. Yeah, so shout out to all the Operation Recall people for continuing to feed me the good energy, the support, the kindness, and the encouragement for that project. Because, The Art of G.I. Joe was one thing, right? That was a massive book, but it's just me and Chad. All I had to do was sit there for a year and a half and write 75,000 words and lay out 712 pages.
That's
and
awesome.
I could do all that. And I could do all that. And then Chad, God bless him, I was sending him 16 pages at a time, and he was restoring all the images. So he worked like a dog too. But that's a two-man team, so we were done with that in 2 years. Operation Recall, man, it's a 15-person team. Some people are sculpting, some people are designing, some people are painting, some people are branding, some people are packaging. Like, it's just factory guys, 3D sculptors. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
There's Cullen checking in.
Yeah. Oh, nice. What's up, Cullen? Good to see you too. Thanks for watching. But yeah, so thank you to everybody that has supported Operation Recall and that's checking out the updates and still feeding me good energy, because you guys are the reason that we're doing this. And I can tell you, man, you've given those guys, those veterans that are back on active duty, you've given them a hell of a lot of good positive energy lately. And Mark Pennington was on the news in Tampa Bay last week talking about this story. Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like it's been a lot of fun for them, and it's been lucrative for them. They're all getting paid up front, so they're all happy to be doing the work and having fun making toys again. So
that's what Aretha Franklin taught us, man.
And thank you to my daughter, Molly Jane, when she watches this years down the road. She's not on YouTube yet. We're not putting her on YouTube yet. But I love you, sweet girl. She's everything.
Oh,
yeah, it's the best.
How old is she now?
5. But she's a big girl. She's really smart. She's really smart. She doesn't seem like a 5-year-old.
It keeps pulling back to all of us just being old. Anyways, oh God,
I got a late start. I didn't have her until I was 40.
Right.
So, yeah. So, thank you guys, though. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
no worries,
Thanks for
man.
coming on.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Say the word. We'll elbow out space for you. I'm serious.
You guys need to do some shout outs too.
Absolutely. We're
right.
rolling right into Rack Time Rob.
Yeah.
All right, Rack Time.
All right. Shout out to you, Carson, for coming on, sharing all your hard work. And of course, to the studio audience.
Right.
For being here so that you can see you share all your hard work.
I will reiterate Rob's shout to our live audience. Thank you so much for being with us and participating. I know it was not a big live chat week on screen. I know a lot of times we kind of lose a little focus in spots and it becomes very chat intensive. And I like those weeks. But we had a lot of ground to cover between news and all of Carson's thousands of projects. Want to give a shout to the folks who are watching us on replay. You count just as much. We love you the same. We really do. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to hear, go ahead, leave us a big boy comment down below. We do our best to answer those. I know Carson pops all over YouTube. He's got his own channel, 3D Joe's YouTube channel. Down the link to that is down below as well. We've got that linked up on our channel page. So be sure you're subscribed there if you're not already.
And just FYI, if you want to see Operation Recall video content, which I do quite a bit of, that's on the 3D Joe's channel. I just can't maintain 2 channels. So.
Well, too, I mean, when you create videos and you live stream, you do it randomly at 11:30 at night on a Tuesday.
I'm fired up, man.
Like there have been times when we would get done doing an episode and then like 20 minutes later I'd see Carson Metaxas is live now. He's been on for 10 minutes.
That's how things work over here, man. Just got to go when inspiration strikes.
Right. So. If you were catching us on audio, we appreciate you as well. There's still a few hundred of you guys that catch us every week over on Podbean and Apple and Spotify and all those other cool places. Nice. We appreciate you all the same. We keep sending the episodes over there. Make sure you leave us a review. Give us some 5 stars. 5 stars. You want to leave 1-star reviews. No, don't do that. You leave those for Phil. No. Phil episodes get 1 stars. Carson episodes get 5 stars.
Picking on
Phil's
gone.
Phil again. He left. He's eating dinner or something. He's being productive. Right? Want to give a shout to our wonderful friends and sponsors at Kokomo Toys. Really quick, we will sing the theme song. Kokomo Toys. Kokomo Toys. Question real quick, Carson. Do you always have?
I just saw that.
The Luke being stabbed on Luke behind you.
No, it's just the movie.
Right.
It's funny though. Like she must be catching it whenever that looped. That's funny.
It's of course, shout to you, Carson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to.
I tell you one thing about doing the show on Wednesday. It means when I'm thinking about getting guests on Saturday and Sunday, it gives a whole extra day for people to like make up their mind. So it's been kind of relaxed. Used to be like sometimes I wouldn't even think of the show until Sunday, and then you're asking somebody to pop up on Tuesday, and that's really short notice. But
yeah, it feels pretty tight,
right? So
I like
giving
Wednesdays.
It to Wednesday.
It's like a nice little hump day break from the work,
Right.
So,
and you get to use the phrase hump day.
Hump day.
Always a pleasure.
See, there's Phil. He's back.
Oh, Phil.
So remember, everybody, check out the coffee page if you want to get your name in the credits. Check out the TeePublic page, the swag shop. All links to both down below. Do all the cool YouTube stuff. Do all the cool Facebook stuff. Blah, blah, blah. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. for another episode of What's on Joe Mind. For my guest, Carson Metaxas, for my co-host, Racktime Rob, I'm Mike Irizarry. As our friend Vagon likes to say, hey, stay safe, and if you can't, be careful. We'll be back next week with another great episode of What's on Joe Mind. Everybody have a great rest of the week. And yo, Joe.
Yo, Joes.
Bye.
I'm going to hit buttons now.